George Clooney is back on the big screen. His new film, Three Kings, opens today. It's an action-adventure film set in Iraq just after the Gulf War. Clooney plays a special forces captain who teams up with a couple of Army reservists for a treasure hunt that promises to make them very, very rich. Now, before heading off on vacation, Mark McEwen spoke with George Clooney about the movie.
And I'm delighted to welcome Three Kings star George Clooney. Hello, George.
Oh,
good to see you.
It's good to see you.
Set in the Middle East, Iraq. What's going on here?
Nothing. What's going on with you?
Yeah.
It's a hard one to describe, which is the fun part, I think. It's a black comedy about the Gulf War with some action and some drama. And I couldn't do a worse job of trying to describe a really, really good film. And that's, we've been sitting there doing this press junket and talking about it. And everybody who comes in will say, well, this is a comedy, or like, well, this is a drama. And we're going, it's a great movie. That's all I know.
Well, I read you said it had elements of Lawrence of Arabia and Schindler's List in there as well. How does that, what elements are you talking about?
Well, the element of Schindler's List I was always talking about is that we're a bunch of people who, we're soldiers who start out doing the wrong thing, and we eventually end up doing the right thing for basically the wrong reasons, and
I like
ultimately,
that.
which is true. Ours is more of a it's a story. It's not factual. It's a made-up story, but it's surrounded by some a lot of factual events that weren't really discussed, and still aren't really discussed, and so it raises a lot of hackles along the way. That's okay.
There was a little boot camp action in there. They kind of ran you through your paces out in the desert.
Well, there's a little bit now. You see, that gets blown out of proportion. Because,
what kind of stuff did you do?
I slept on the hotel bed. No, we
That's tough if you have the wrong hotel.
Oh, it was really horrible. No, we spent some time. We did a lot of classroom time where you'd sit there with the colonel, and he would stand in front of a chalkboard and talk to us. And then the rest of the time we did some military maneuvers where it was pretty funny, actually. They would give us a Humvee, the four of us, and load us up with weapons and send us through the desert and give us these objectives, and we would get there, and you'd get out, and we'd have to go find a box in a bunker, whichever bunker it would be. And along the way, we would encounter a bunch of PAs dressed up with turbans shooting at us. So mostly it was just military drills.
You ever have any of the Gila monsters out in the desert go, wait a minute, you're that guy from ER. I know who you are.
Sign my tail.
Yeah, sign my tail for me. So you were doing ER while you were doing this as well.
That's right.
And it was the waning days of ER. How tired are you of people saying, so you're going to come back and do a little bit of ER?
I'm not tired of it. You get it a lot. I think that's natural when you're talking about the #1 show. But it is funny because it does become, there are times I picked up the paper this summer and said, I was going back for $2 million an episode. I'm rich. I'm going back. And that was before I'd ever talked to anybody over at ER. So we've had one very sort of quiet, open, easy discussion about maybe coming back and doing an episode at the end of the year, which I'd like to do, and we'll see what happens.
How cool is it being on the #1 primetime show?
It was amazing. I did it the first season of Roseanne. I was a regular on. And that became #1 quickly, and there was this great excitement about it. I wasn't one of the major players on it, so it wasn't the same sort of feeling. We always felt kind of like the bad stepchild then. So it was really fun to be one of the 5, 6 leads on a show that was so embraced. I mean, it was just the first 2 years of that show. It was this juggernaut. It was insanity.
Did you sit around and talk to the other guys on the show? Because everybody, you have winding ways of how you get to places. You have peaks, you have valleys.
Sure.
And now, guess what, kids? You're in the land of plenty, right? Did you say, is it like sitting around in the huddle before you go on going, we got it down here?
Well, it's funny. Huddling does exist, but it becomes sort of a protective shell because there suddenly becomes only 6 people in the world that can experience that kind of good and bad that comes with that. And I'm not saying, won't sit around whining about anything that went wrong. It's just that your entire world is turned completely upside down in a week. Literally in a week. I remember the first time I came to New York after ER came out, and I was walking down the street, and I'd been on a television series for 14 years at that point, regular for 14, like 7 other series. So people would always recognize you, and you go, I know that guy. They'd think I was, I owed him money or something. But they wouldn't know your name. And I was walking down the streets, I was walking down, I guess it was probably 5th Avenue, and somebody goes, hey, George. And then somebody else goes, hey, George. And I looked at my buddy, Ben, and I go, I just got famous.
Yeah.
And that was a real eye-opening experience.
Well, Three Kings is a movie. You are famous. You're very good. George Clooney, always a pleasure. You're a hooper. Inside shot, outside shot. You're a driver.
I like to take it inside mostly.
Okay.
I got a left and a right.
Yeah, I'm a tray. I'm a tray.
Oh, you are?
Shooting the tray. Good to see you.
You too.
Here's Thalia.
Another hard